We got some enjoyable shit to do. You know what time it is, baby! Now, I'm not going to react to the clip, okay? I'm not going to react to the clip. I'm just going to talk about some of the points that he raised, because I watched this on my last night of Kel. It was the Sunday night. Spaza has already left for the airport at 3:30 in the morning, and I was in my room on my own, and I wasn't falling asleep. I wasn't ready to commit to 2.5 sleep cycles of sleep, because I knew I would feel even worse getting up. I had half an hour. I killed the half an hour. And essentially, Ed's point in this is he wants the ELO system. He's like, yes, you understand. It's the ELO system. He doesn't like my explanation. In fact, I thought he knew about the DK resurgence, or the appearance, I guess, of DK in Smash. But he was like, oh, it's Amster guy. The Yoshi guy is really good. I'm like, this is like 5 years old news, Ed. Come on. Keep up with everything going on in the esports community, please. There I am mentioning DK, and there he is mentioning, like, yeah, that guy with Yoshi, he's popping off. He's making one character relevant because he's really good at it. I'm like, oh, brother, get with the times. But, you know, he talks about...
think would be more representative of a player's skill, specifically in the confines of their performance versus someone else's. That's it. In terms of individual performance and the one-time snapshot thing, sure, PP system is cool, right? That's dope, right? And I will still enjoy having those single-time pop-offs where I'm trying to get the maximum possible score that I can get on a specific map. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? That's like the entire essence of like speed running, right? Trying to get the lowest time to beat a game, right? That's still fun, right? We have that. That's the current system. But I want a multiplayer experience, okay? Some of my best performing videos are videos that involve other people, okay? And at the moment, Osu's core gameplay, its core like incentive to play the game, which is the ranking system, does not incentivize any sort of multiplayer experience. I want to give players a reason to engage in a multiplayer experience that is also competitive, that's also fun, that is curated, right? That's my vision.
Given scores like this on a rank... What else was he talking about? It was here, wasn't he? He starts talking about something else.
I'm not asking to entirely replace the system. I would like to believe that a ELO-based system would be more fun and more respected amongst the most enthusiastic, most dedicated players in the game. Like, if you're a top 100 player in an ELO-based system, I would like to believe that most players would respect you as one of the top 100 best Osu players in the game, okay? That's what I would like to believe, okay? However, I disagree if Bubbleman is implying that the only way to fix the ranking system is to make adjustments off of what's currently there. That something new cannot be introduced. Because I disagree with that entirely. Like, the entire introduction of PPV2 was from Tom94 being like, yo, here's a cool idea. And Pepe was like, yo, that's cool as fuck. And then it became that way. You know what I'm saying? I think one of the best properties or best things about Osu is the fact that anyone can make a change in this game. Anyone can truly do something cool, right? If you have a cool idea and you actually work on it and you get it in front of the right people and convince people to adopt it, I feel like you can actually get it in because it's happened in the past, right?
It happened in the past because they were already looking for a new PP system is the problem. Tom94's TP existed at a time when PPV1 was failing, and they needed a new system. And that's why it is the current system that we play on. And yes, you can do anything whenever you want. The trouble is, we've already done it 3 times. We have had MadeBot. What was the one before it? There was another one before it. Osu Matchmaking? There was one before it. I'm sure of it. There was a matchmaking bot that happened before this. But we had that. We had MadeBot. We had Elite Botics. I have had a DM from a guy saying, hey, we've made a 1v1 system, 2v2 and 3v3 ELO system. And it's like, yeah, cool. But every single time this has happened, it has failed because people don't participate in it because they'd rather play tournaments. ELO will never work in Osu in the way that you want it to work. in the way that you want this seasonal rolling release of maps to be implemented into the game for people to 1v1 on, that won't work because people have already tried it and it has failed 3 or 4 times because of lack of activity. Because people don't want a centralized system, they want a decentralized tournament circuit, essentially. And what that circuit is loads of team tournaments and lots of 1v1 tournaments. ELO would sap the expression of singular excellence in one skill. Yes, exactly. And to be good at tournaments, okay, you first need to have good fundamentals. Now, what are the fundamentals in Osu? You could say stamina, speed, jump aim, flow aim, and arguably reading, but reading comes hand in hand with all of these 4 because you have to be able to comprehend things to play them. What does the system favor? Well, it used to favor speed and stamina, tapping. Right now, it favors jump aim. At one point, you were able to get a high rank, and you still are able to gain performance points from flow aim, which is the other aim skill set. So all of these fundamental skill sets in performance points that are balanced and rebalanced and adjusted, that some gain, some lose, and then some other gain, some lose. All of these skill sets, all of these fundamental skill sets are what make up the performance system. You can tell all of these guys that are at the top of the leaderboards have really good fundamental skill. Not applied consistently because it is a snapshot. To move to an ELO system or to run an ELO system alongside this, you are essentially saying all of these 3 or 4 hours of work that you're doing to gain a high rank, to prove your fundamentals, you also now have to play a 1v1, 2v2, whatever, ELO-based system for 2 or 3 hours a day to also gain rank in that other system. It's too much. Because what Eds wants to do is have 2 separate systems that you have to essentially farm in. You have to play in. You have to gain PP. That is an expression of your fundamentals. And you have to gain rank in ELO because that's an expression of your roundedness. People, if they wanted to be good in the ELO system, wouldn't bother with tournaments anymore because they would be burnt out from playing weekends for tournaments and then the tournament matches essentially in the week. You would be killing people with the amount of effort they'd have to put in, and you would stunt the community because to be consistent, you have to sacrifice your top-end performance. You see where the problem lies now? The reason it won't work like Ed thinks it will is because it's so much for people to do, and it will stunt the growth of players who are pushing their top end. If Emmerich was playing tournaments all the time, he would not have time to get 32 KPP. Same with all of these guys. If they were playing tournaments all the time, they wouldn't be improving their fundamental skill. There's a reason that competitive sports have big tournaments because in the off-season, and quote off-season because it's not really an off-season, it's just the gap between 2 tournaments, they're improving their skills, they're exercising, they're learning these new ways of approaching either tournaments or whatever, they're improving their fundamentals. And then when it's called upon to perform, they are using these fundamentals and tempering them and making them more consistent at a lower level. If you are always holding these players down to the lower level, then there is no room for them to push their top level, which is what the PP system advocates for. And the tournament system, the best few players in tournaments, apart from the best player in the game, I guess, are down here somewhere. They're not the best mechanics-wise, or they've not proven themselves to be the best mechanics-wise because they're having to hold themselves back. Look at Nahus, look at Milosh. They both attended Kel, and they were in the top 4. Look at Ninarik. He attended Kel, he was in the top 3. All of these players in the top 10 who can step back, taper their mechanics down a level to essentially lean on these fundamentals at a lower level, because they're, you pick up something that doesn't weigh anything to you and you give it to something else and suddenly they get completely caught off guard by how heavy it is because they've not put the work in at the gym. That's my best way of explaining it. And the other reason ELO won't work is because of how it works in chess. How ELO is meant to work is all of the top players play against each other all the time. And then they have to go away and improve themselves. And the trouble is here is it's a fixed environment. It's a fixed chessboard. There is nowhere higher to go. It is responses to your opponent's moves, sure, but there's nowhere higher to take it. Whereas in Osu, you've got 14-star A ranks now, which we wouldn't have if we were playing tournaments still stuck down at 7-star no mod 1s. That's my take on this whole thing. I'm just completely condensing this video into these two main points, and I'm saying an elo system won't work because you need the off seasons between the on seasons. You need the choice to participate in tournaments, because this game ultimately is a single player game that can be played 1v1 against each other. This game ultimately is about the crazy pop-off performances in the same way Trackmania is, because this is about getting the best times, and the beauty of it is these can all be rebalanced. The PP values they give can be rebalanced to award or nerf different skill sets differently, and that's what adds the variance in, which means that people get well-rounded. Akolibed was really good at aim before he then became crazy at speed, because speed was awarding more. You could say that about many of these other players who are in the top 50 at the moment, where they were good at one thing, and because they're good at one thing, they can branch out into everything else.
That's what Osu is built off of. It's built off of the community. So my thought process is, okay, obviously they're not going to drop everything to go for an elo system. But if I were to develop an elo system with a bunch of really smart people, and it does get the respect eventually, then
It never did. I mean, look on my profile. None of these elo systems ever got... There was an elo ranking just of tournaments, of 1v1 tournaments. There was an elo ranking on MadeBot of the... you could sign up, you could play. There was... I played 18 matches on that. I didn't lose a single match. And nobody remembers it. Doesn't matter. It never mattered. 157 matches, 1.6k elo. But what about in team tournaments? Because that's where most of the tournament scene happens. What about in chess, where you can open up, say, Fabiano, and you can look at just how many games they've played? 3,000. What about Magnus Carlsen? 3,000. What about Gukesh? 1,400. What about Hikaru? 3,000. You gotta have far more activity than you would ever want, okay? You gotta have so much more activity than you would ever want. Let's have a look for Anand. 4,000 games, and yet in Osu, we barely get 150 from OUKT5, which was 2015, 2016, all the way to Battle Royale 4, UKCC10. This is what, 6 years? And I played 150 tournament matches? It's just not enough. It really just is not enough. How many of these would I have been playing against some of the top players at the time? Because if I played, 38 tournaments, so we go by semi-final, final, grand final, and we assume that the same player played in final as grand final. If I had this much of a win rate, it's like maybe would have played against a top player 70 or 80 times, which isn't enough, because this is 4,000 matches against similarly rated players. And that's also the reason why in Trackmania, there is an elo system in Trackmania 2020. There is a 1v1 queue, but it is still ranked by individual placements. It's still ranked by Cup of the Day. It's still ranked by all of this other stuff, the high scores on tracks. Because this is essentially what the elo system of the game is. Carl Jr., you know of them as the best Trackmania player of all time. You look at the campaign, you look at the leaderboards on the campaigns, he is nowhere to be seen on any of these leaderboards, because he's playing other things. Some good things, interesting points. This is one of those that seems short-sighted for Osu. As he's speaking about it, it won't work. I know in my heart of hearts, he wants the best, but it won't work. Just be about who cares to grind them. Yeah, it won't get any more prestige than tournaments already have. He's talking about the respect for the system.
Feel like
the tournament system already has respect.
Find a way to get it official in the game.
Go play tournaments. Ed's take about this has been a good. Go play tournaments. If you want to play tournaments, go play tournaments. If you want to play the ranking system, play the ranking system. But I will tell you now, to get good at tournaments, you need to be able to get good at being a high rank. And I say get good at being a high rank, meaning in most metas. If you're a high rank in one meta, you won't be good at tournaments. But if you're a high rank in every meta, you will have the ability to branch out into every other skill set and play tournaments. This system feeds into your fundamentals, which then feeds into your ability to play well in tournaments. You need this more than you know. Nahu's tournament performance is still mind-blowing to me. Yeah, okay, because they got the fundamental aim. They don't have to think about their aim much when they're playing lower star rating maps. You open up the game, you go, okay, 4-star map. Let's play a 4-star map. I've FC'd 9-star maps. Is a 5-star map gonna be difficult for me? It used to be, when I was first improving, it used to be. But I can, like, continue this conversation, and I can play this 5-star map, and I could... Well, ignore that one. But I could FC this without thinking too hard about it. My tablet moved, okay? I don't have it taped down at the moment. But the fact of the matter is, because you're pushing to higher and higher abilities, the maps that are now beneath you are so much easier. You don't have to think. You don't have to push as hard to FC them. And that's where tournaments come in. That's why the best players on the PP system are always likely to become the best tournament players if they apply themselves. Like, I can look at chat while I'm playing this. And I mean, the whole reason that we don't play this star rating a map anymore is because it's boring. It doesn't give us anything, not even in tournaments. Read this, insane act. Yeah, grow up. That's my rant over. That's why an elo system will never work. It won't work the way you want it to work. And so many people have tried and failed to implement an elo system into the game. Each one of them has failed. You can go osumatchmaking.how... Here we go. Hello. If you're looking for Osu Matchmaking, I, Hello Watcher, haven't updated the website for a few years now. Additionally, the matchmaking bot was turned off along with the matchmaking API. Please check the matchmaking Discord for any updates, since I also don't have any. I'm sure they will update the bot, as well as the website. Anemic, which has all the code. Thanks, and have a nice day. 2024. Did anyone notice MadeBot got turned off? Did anyone notice that MadeBot is gone now? It got turned off completely. This is where the screenshot of the matchmaking elo comes from on my profile. That's this website. And it died. It was the most well-loved elo bot to date, and it died. It's gone now, because people weren't playing it. If you think that anyone will have enough respect for an elo bot, or an elo system, or anything like that, to keep it alive, keep it going, when tournaments are the main way of getting competition between players in this game, you are... unfortunately, delusional. It's not gonna work, man. It's not gonna work. It'll never work. It'll never work. This is all to say, basically, an elo system would detract from current tournament players, because they would have to split their time between the elo system and tournaments, and no one would bother. No one would bother. I wouldn't bother. I wouldn't play the elo system in the game. It'd be cool to have it. I'd have a bit of fun with it, solo queuing every so often, but I would rather just enter more tournaments. And even right now, I know for a fact I've fallen behind all of these guys. I can't play the game as well as the current, like, entrance into the top tournament player scene can. So I have to catch up. And that's why I'm pushing so hard to get back to top 100, is because then that means I am working on my base level mechanics, which I can then take and apply to easier maps. I'm not as good as any of these guys anymore. I have lost my touch because I spent a year and a half away from the game. That's why Tuna is back at being in the top level, and he's now back winning tournaments. Matchmaking for fun would be great. A matchmaking system just for fun would be awesome. But I don't want a number attached to tournaments because I'm bored of people saying the number attached to people's names means anything. Stop adding ranking systems for the sake of adding ranking systems, okay? Respect the players who are already performing well in the current sphere of the game. Why make elo system when Elite Botics exists? Yeah, exactly. It already exists within the game. The Elite Botics system already exists. People just don't play it. They don't take it seriously because they take tournaments seriously already. And also, the people who don't want to take tournaments seriously are, like, still good at tournaments because they're just good at the game. That's the whole point of why I challenged Ed to this race to top 100, is because his mechanics are falling behind. If he wants to be a good tournament player, if he wants this whole system that he can believe in and take part in, first you have to be good at one of the aspects. Otherwise, you can't hope to be good at any of the others.